Goeiedag! Good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And yes, if you wanted any more proof that the whole system in South Africa, whether you're black, white, colored, Indian, or whatever other race is available in South Africa, is completely skewed towards the ANC leadership, do I have a story for you. And I'm still working on this information with Ramaphosa and the $600 million that he apparently, and until I've got my fingers right on it, this is just an allegation that apparently he hijacked from another purpose. But let's get back to this story, which is factual. And it's about the connection between the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, Trevor Manuel, Marcus Jooste, Johan Ruopte, and their hanger-oners. And I've got to shout out to SJP for this. Between 1996 and 2005, Trevor Manuel, in his capacity as finance minister, was the sole trustee and custodian of the Government Employee Pension Fund, or GEPF, which at the time of inception had assets close to 200 billion rand. As a sole trustee of GEPF, Mr. Trevor Manuel did not report or account to anyone but himself. To this end, there was no board of governance, and therefore Mr. Manuel had the total discretion of how employees' pension funds would be invested. However, in 2002, a tender for actuarial services was advertised and eventually awarded to Alexander Forbes by Trevor Manuel in his capacity as the sole trustee of GEPF, which was now worth over 250 billion rand. Alexander Forbes then proceeded to sell 30% of its shares to an empowerment group that was called Millennium Consolidated Investments, MCI, which was incorporated in 2001. Being a year before the invitation to tender came out. This company belonged to the current president of the African National Congress and South Africa, one Cyril Hippo-Eyes Ramaphosa. Before buying 30% of the Alexander Forbes shares and thus getting first-hand access to the funds of the GEPF, President Ramaphosa was just another black economic empowerment BEE proxy for the governing party, who subsequently managed to buy more than 27 companies post-2003, which turned him into an instant billionaire. This is where black privilege comes in. And let me make this very clear. I'm not talking about the average man in the street black African. I'm talking about the well-connected ANC and their stooges, their cadres, their family. They're all in on the take. They are cleaning South Africa out. Okay, so let's continue. To strengthen the argument, according to a 2006 article by the Mail and Guardian titled Anatomy of Fast Money, the sudden wealth which was concentrated amongst a few new colonial ANC elites like President Ramaphosa was not due to hard work or business brilliance, but to connections to the ANC, patronage, and friends in government, which in turn led to some of the following acquisitions by President Ramaphosa. April 2003, 16% of Alexander Forbes, now worth 1.1 billion rand. July 2003, 14.4% of Bidvest, worth 706 million rand. July 2004, 1.2% of Standard Bank, worth 1.1 billion rand. Now, before I go any further, for all the black Africans who actually come in and have a look at this page, please tell me if any of your friends, you've got a group of friends, okay? They're just an average black community. They're not the ANC well connected. If any of them have had any such deals offered to them as part of BEE, the ANC hierarchy are stealing the guts out of South Africa, and they're impoverishing you. Let's continue. This is still Cyril Ramaphosa's acquisitions because of his position in the hierarchy of the ANC. November 2005, 11.74% of ASOR, that's ASSORE, worth 394 million rand. In November 2005, 1.5% in Liberty Life, worth 299 million rand. Now, just while we're talking about this, remember that B, broad-based black economic empowerment, basically means that all these companies have to have black shareholders to be able to deal appropriately in South Africa. So the guys on the take are the guys who have the connections, and they're the ones who acquire the shares, which make up over 50% of companies like Liberty Life. And your average black African is just going down the gurgler like the rest of South Africa. These guys are all on the take at the top of the ANC. They're all on the take. They don't give diddly squat about your situation. This is getting back to Ramaphosa. May 2026, 25% of Downing, Reynard and Associates unlisted. And July 2006, 40% of Kangra Opal. And the source there is the Mail and Guardian. It is quite obvious to any student of geopolitics that the rise of President Ramaphosa was sparked by him acquiring the shares of Alexander Forbes. This brings me to the rationale on why President Ramaphosa must extend the terms of reference on the Commission of Inquiry into the Public Investment Corporation, or PIC, which is the asset management company that invests funds on behalf of, yeah, you got it, the GEPF. It will be an injustice if the current terms of reference of the Commission of Inquiry into the PIC are left as they are, because more than a decade, Trevor Manuel was guard, presiding over billions in hard-earned salaries of government employees, while President Ramaphosa became deputy guard, hence to only focus on the investment decisions made by the former chief executive officer or CEO of the PIC, Dan Machila, is quite frankly opportunistic and self-serving. South Africans have every right to know which companies and individuals benefited during the tenure at the GEPF of Trevor Manuel and President Ramaphosa, especially since there was no board of governance in place at that time. Can you believe it? All those billions of rands. Now you know why Ramaphosa is a wealthy man. Anyway, continue with the story. Another factor is the conflict of interest regarding both President Ramaphosa and Mr. Trevor Manuel, which necessitates an investigation to unpack if President Ramaphosa directly used his position as a shareholder at GEPF to get capital injection into his own companies, and the same applies to Trevor Manuel, which also falls under the ambit of state capture. Oh, they hate those two words, don't they? This, by the way, is no different to the conflict of interest associated with Nhlahlele Nene, who opted to resign as the Minister of Finance. The investment decision by Trevor, Manuel and President Ramaphosa, each in their capacity as custodian of the GEPF, must also extend to the likes of Zanele Mbeke, Tokyo Sexwali, Saki Makozama, Frank Shikani, Jay Naidu, Kelso Gordian, Cheryl Carolas, etc. Now, these are all extremely wealthy South Africans. They just, boom, came out of the box from nothing. To this end, the Commission of Inquiry must assess whether they received or legitimately received any capital injections through GEPF. Moreover, the conduct of the likes of Johan Rupert, Christopher Weiss, Johan Mouton, Stephen Kosef and Marcus Juster, who used the funds of the GEPF through their asset-managed companies, which subcontract with the PIC to inject capital into their own businesses, must be inquired into. This is a hornet's nest, but I doubt if it'll ever be looked into. It is therefore not surprising that the post-1994 Afrikaners, especially the Stellenbosch and Paarl gang, have become richer than they were during apartheid. It's precisely because Trevor Manuel and President Ramaphosa literally handed them the pension funds of black employees without any competition from black-owned asset-managed companies. The PIC, which now controls trillions of pension fund money, has literally become a piggy bank for the private sector and politically connected elite, black privilege, who don't have to work hard to earn their wealth, but simply abuse and misuse the money that belongs to the workers, many of who are living from hand to mouth. Unfortunately, unions like the Congress of South African Trade Unions, or COSATU, including the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, or NUMSA, have never been vocal on this slave trade transaction because they are part and parcel of the same private sector, which has perfected monopolizing public funds to feed the private sector. This is what Dr. Ochekua Idehuru defined as labor capitalism in a paper titled Organized Labor, Globalization and Economic Reform, Union Investment Companies in South Africa. In essence, state capture and exchange of capital between the blue-eyed boys, the Broederbond and the new colonial elite was very systematic and structural. What is quite obvious is that the gang has been very sophisticated whilst using all the sorts of treacherous and deceitful means to gain proximity to government coffers in order to empower itself and its family, while simultaneously taxing the working class and poor who literally sustain their wealth. Umkhonto weSizwe, or MK prisoner, Soko Undukana defined this grouping as looters of the nation and gangster capitalists who today have become the paragon of truth and business experts in a country which is rated as the most unequal in the world. This is precisely because state resources have been misused and abused by those using struggle credentials to benefit a few, whilst a majority who keep them in power and who are yet to see the rays of liberation are burdened by squalor and degradation. This is sheer state capture, which has taken centuries to perfect, and its collapse we must never allow to use Dan Matjila as collateral damage. Okay, so I'm just putting this out there. In South Africa, you've got that third hidden level of power, and it involves Cyril Ramaphosa and his billions of rands of wealth. He has totally screwed over the system. He is as bad as Zuma. Alright guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video, please share this video, and above all, stay safe. Bye for now.